It's fair to say that big display incomers should all go as a tick on the scorecard.
They should do, yes. Not always the case though, is it?
I'm looking forward to learning the hacks, because in my head, you just shoot it. It's not a hard target, but I never really think too much about it, and you probably should. Given everything we've ever discussed, you need to pay 100% attention and use the right move for every clay.
Listen, you've got to give, no matter what the target is, they all need the same respect, right? Yes, they're technically an easier target to shoot, but they still need the same respect as a 40-yard crosser. Take an example, we're going to shoot sort of an incoming target slightly off to our right here in a second. Main things why people tend to miss those easier type incoming clays, they just try and make everything happen too quickly or do too much with the bird. Let the clay do most of the work. You know, most incomers or crows are coming towards you, obviously, so let the clay do most of the work. You're going to kill it at its peak or just off its peak, depending on how far away it's dropping, and we can go into that a little bit later on. But if we're going to kill it at its peak, like this one here in a second, let's let the clay do most of the work and then just make a move last minute to shoot it. We don't need to get connected with it really early, then spend a long time with it and doing nothing.
Increasing the variables.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have a look here, Johnny, and I'll show you what we're going to do, and we can decide on our sort of pick-up point, hold point, kill point, all that sort of stuff. Same thing, picking our kill point where the clay looks closest to us and shows us most of itself.
Well,
So let's let the clay do most of the work. Same thing, feet nice and square, so shoulders are square to our kill point. We'll run through the process from there, okay? Tip here I would say is the muzzles still want to be fairly low. What we want to prevent happening is we don't want to sort of go to a spot and pull the trigger, because then we've got a very static gun in, like just a pattern of a shot if you like. Let's have a bit of movement in the gun so we've got a bit of a shot string still. And obviously definitely a target we don't want to even contemplate bringing the gun up in front to start off with, because it's going nowhere. The moment we're going to bring the gun up in front, we're only going to probably end up one place, and that's out in front of it. So
real controlled. In my
Yeah.
head, very barrel aware, because it is a bit of a rifle shot.
again, it can be, and that's personal preference. So you can rifle these and really slow everything down, or you can just hold down sort of last minute, let the clay beat you right through the shot, and then we're into it as we sort of touch the bird, pull the trigger, so we've got a bit of a shot string. But as long as you're aware of what you're doing, that's the main thing. What we don't want to do is bring the gun up in front to start off.
Okay.
We'll do a couple more of those, Johnny. Great.
My second question here really is, more often than not when you're presented with something like that, it is part of a pair.
Yep.
And you're gonna have to kill that early.
Early or late?
Or late.
Yeah. So that sort of takes us onto our sort of dropping targets, yeah? So I'd say in very, very seldom would you want to take something like that on. You know, regardless of what the first target doing, if we were in a true pair situation, we'd let that target do all its flight, do all its work, 'cause it's only dropping 10 yards away from us. For me, for a dropping target, I wouldn't want to place the gun above the birds, then come back down below it.
So you're always floating that target a little more of a pull away.
Yeah, I'd be sort of more or less on the bottom edge and then drive the gun off the bottom edge of the target. So sort of with the speed of it and then drive down from it from there.
No measuring.
No measuring that. Again, more like we are to measure. We'll sort of start seeing gaps below and then we'll stop.
Okay.
So we'll have a look at this sort of right to left target here. So he is sort of dropping in towards us, still slightly coming in and dropping in. Again, when we pick our kill point where the clay shows us most of itself and looks clearest to us, you'll see that actually the target's on the fall and on the decline. So we'll have a look at that from there.
Bang.
Okay, so what I'd say here, Johnny, again, for the first 2/3 of the flight, it's completely irrelevant. That's on a different line to what we want to shoot it on, and it's, you know, it's doing nothing what it's going to be doing where we're going to kill it. So we'll hold up near the highest point, let the clay do all the work towards us, and as the clay starts to come through the gun, we'll place the gun on the bottom edge of it and then just drive down.
Small connection, split second
exactly
connection.
That, and then
bang.
just come down.
Okay. Same bit of gun power.
Yeah, exactly. Bit of gun speed down into it, and then we can make the move from there.
All right.
Okay. Same thing here, feet wise. Shoulders will be nice and square to the kill point, and then we can turn back slowly. Okay, a bit of a connection, and you can just drive away whenever you want to. So the main thing here is we don't want to be sort of too much above the target to then drop back down, because it can be a bit guessy and we almost lose the sight of the bird as we come through it if we're not careful. Okay.
It's as simple as that, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't overcomplicate it. One thing I would say with dropping targets, which we'll look at in a second on another bird, is when they vary in distance, obviously, I would still try and shoot them as late as possible, so they're under more power. You know, if that sort of target just hits its peak and then starts to drop and we try and kill it there, we're kind of in a no man's land. It's kind of hard to gauge the speed of the bird, so let the target sort of fall and gain a speed.
Redevelop a line.
Yeah.
Power on the way up, the transition, and power on the way down.
So let the bird transition, get the speed in the line you want, and then you can start to create gun speed with it. You know, trying to shoot a target just as you started to drop there, it's hard to get that speed right because it's kind of dead in the sky. So at least where it's later, 9 times out of 10, most things when they're dropping and set to be a dropping target to be shot late, they're dropping in towards you, so they're coming closer.
You've got the
anyway.
power of the shot as well.
Yeah,
so a pellet, let's say if you're not 100% on it, is more likely to break a target under power than not.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. I mean, so we've sort of haven't really touched much on cartridges at the moment. Questions can be asked. We sort of talk about chokes and cartridges and those sort of different combinations. When we come on to our incoming targets and our sort of hanging crow type targets, obviously they tend to be under a lot less power. So particularly when we're shooting sort of big hanging crows at their peak at various distances, the target itself isn't moving very quickly because it's sort of all the
and it's not spinning very quickly
exactly.
as well.
So they take some braking. So that's where I'd say, especially at graded distances, is that's where I'd like to increase the shot size slightly. You know, maybe go from my 7.5s up to my 6.5s. You know, to
Just
bigger
if you
pellet
get a
energy.
pellet on it,
Exactly,
it's going to get
break
a crack.
because the clay itself isn't moving very quickly, so it's not spinning and it's sort of dead. So bigger pellet, bigger striking energy, and hopefully if one of those connects, it'll break it better.
Had a bit of a play shooting it early. It's just punch it through the line, pull the trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the most optimal shot.
No, it's not the safest way to do it, but you know, if it
In a
had to be
pinch.
done, you could do it. What's interesting here is obviously when we come onto the dropping stuff, especially, the beauty of using a shot cam here is we can see what we're talking about in terms of bringing the gun in underneath and staying underneath and then making that move as opposed to mounting up above and driving the gun down. We can see that on there, which is really helpful for us as a shooter.
What's interesting is the perceived lead that we just saw on the shot cam
Yep.
is very different to the perceived lead the real lead on the shot cam is
Yeah,
very
exactly.
different to the perceived lead I just saw.
And also, obviously, what we see in terms of a move when we're actually shooting and our head hitting the stock and us making a move, it looks completely different through the shot cam because then you actually see the point where the gun is on the bird, as it were, and then you're making the move from that.
Because your eye's doing a few things. You've got
Correct.
a gun there, you've got a clay there. Certainly with that dropper, it's disconnecting from your face a little bit during
Yep.
the final move. And I know that's potentially not optimal, but I see so many people doing that on that last shunt out of a dropper. It seems to just disconnect a little.
Absolutely, and it's the one shot especially where it's gun placement is really important. You know, as in below the target to start off with and come drive down, as opposed to coming above and driving through it. So it's really useful to be able to see that and see that you are doing that, as opposed to doing it where you think actually right, I'm above it and then I'm coming down, but you think you're actually starting below.
Should we find something bigger?
Yeah, we'll go and shoot let's go and shoot a couple more dropping targets at a greater distance, just so we can start to see a little bit more about that importance of inserting the gun underneath and then driving down with the bird from there.
We've looked at the easy one, we've looked at the dropper that you don't have to disconnect from too much. This one, firstly, the first target, if you like, peaks further away.
Yeah.
And the drop is going to need more of a disconnect and out of the right. So it's going to be a different level of
Yeah,
target.
so it's more looking more like an incoming crow target that's actually we're going to shoot on the drop, as opposed to we sort of shot like a true incomer in the sky and then like a low orange sort of incomer that we shot on the drop. So now we're going to move on to more of a sort of crow type target, which we'll actually shoot on the drop. A bit
gonna
further
need some
out.
gap.
Yeah, exactly. So main thing here we're looking at is not wanting to get connected with the target too soon. So let the clay do most of its work to its peak. We can then insert the gun below, get that connection, then drive away from there.
Really tempted just to shoot it early, right?
It is, but that's the easy way. And obviously we can kill them at the peak, but
Which
obviously
you would choose to do.
yeah, I would say so. I mean, we'll have personal preferences on where we like killing the target, or it's at its peak, on the drop, whatever. But it's what we're trying to achieve here is to have the ability to be comfortable to shoot it on the drop. So then, in other scenarios, mainly true pairs, we've got that in the locker, as it were, to use if we need to.
All right.
All right, so we'll give it a go. So what we're doing there, Johnny, is we're bringing the gun underneath and almost holding a gap and then trying to drive down.
Okay.
So it wants to be one move where the clay's reaching its apex, we're inserting the gun on the bottom edge and then starting to go with it straight away, just gradually increasing the speed, not going from, sort of
0 to 100 very quick.
4 to like 20 very quickly. Yeah, so it's a gradual process. So, and we'll see that when we look back through the shot camera in a second, you'll see that the gun is coming almost in underneath and we've got a big gap to start off with and then we're punching down. So we just want to make sure we insert just on the bottom edge and then gradually drive down from there as the clay picks up speed. A lot more connected, a lot more controlled. And that's the beauty of using something like the shot cam. You can see there in your picture, in your head, actually, you probably haven't seen a lot of difference in visually as the picture you want to see when you broke the target.
But you can see the move is completely different.
Correct, and the difference is how you get to that lead and how you get to that picture, which is what when we look back through the footage in a second, we'll see that actually we've got connected earlier and then drove away nice and gradually on the ones we've killed, and the ones we've missed, we've stayed underneath and then try to make a move very quickly at the end.
Certainly when I first started using ShotCam, I was just looking for where I'd missed.
Yeah.
But the more I learn, the more you learn about why you missed, how you got to that mistake in the first place is why these are so important.
Yeah, massively. And it's where the gun's moving in relation to the target, not necessarily always at the end of the shot, but at the beginning of the shot, where you're making that initial move.
Because you don't always have a Josh Brown over your shoulder.
Wow, you'd be a very lucky man if you did.